Daniel's Dread Tales is a show for grown-ups. It may contain adult language and adult themes. Please check the episode description for content warnings. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Daniel's Dread Tales. We have another brief interlude for you before our finale of Low Places, and I think you're gonna dig it. Nathan and I played an exciting game of Cthulhu Confidential, where Dex Raymond is once again going to be facing off some of the horrors of Los Angeles, only some of which are supernatural in origin. Hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Daniel's Dread Tales. And we're once again doing a little bit of Cthulhu Confidential, where we're going to have just me, the Game Master, and one of our players as we try to solve a Cthulhu-y mystery. Introduce yourself, player.
Hi, I'm Nathan. Y'all know me from being in this show quite a lot.
And I guess I didn't technically introduce myself. Hi, I'm Daniel of the Dread Tales, the titular Daniel. And today we're going to be having Nathan play as Dex Raymond. Now, that may sound like a name you've heard before because that's also a character that Russell played a little recently. However, think of this as an alternate reality Dex Raymond, because this is going to be Nathan's version of the character. Maybe we think of him as Rex Raymond or something like that. It's a slightly different name. Maybe just Dex is fine. While we may someday have Russell come back to the murderous kind of psychopath, that version of Dex Raymond that Russell created.
Of course
yeah,
he did.
Of course they ended up with that. This might end up with a more positive story for our Dex Raymond.
No promises. I have really bad luck in Cthulhu Tales.
This is true. So, Dex Raymond is... Well, do you want to introduce... what would you say Dex Raymond's deal is? In your mind, what is Dex Raymond's deal? Who is Dex Raymond? Because if I hear what you think about him, I'll get an idea of what to do with him.
I see here the most noir detective to ever detect in a noir story, you know?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake, his name is Dex. His name is Dexter Dex Raymond.
He's in Los Angeles, classic noir town. Yeah. We're going to have dames coming to doors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And as far as his problems go, I've decided what killed the cat. So, curiosity. The answer is curiosity.
When you get started, you have to pick one problem, and the one that you're settling with is the what killed the cat problem, which means that you can never stop looking for the truth, which might end up being a problem for you. Although maybe finding the truth will... I mean, that is what you're trying to do as a private detective. But you know,
the truth hurts when you're dealing with, like, Lovecraftian, mind-shattering eldritch truths.
This is often the case, yes, unfortunately, for you.
I'm not expecting too much from Dex here.
We'll see how it goes. We start our story with you in your office. Tell me, what's something about your office? What does Dex Raymond's office look like? How about this? What's one I'm sure it is a standard noir detective office. What's one thing that makes it stand out?
I got a big corkboard in the back with a bunch of, string and tacks. The standard...
your conspiracy board,
right?
Yeah,
conspiracy mystery board.
Okay, so there have been some cases that you've solved, but feel like there might be something else that's, like, connecting everything?
Yeah.
Now, would you think... is this more of a list of who's who in the criminal underworld and who's bribing who and stuff like that? Which politicians can be trusted and which ones that can't be? Or is it more unexplained, like ghost sightings and haunted houses and stuff like that?
Probably more on the criminal underworld side.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, as you are sitting in your office, the phone rings.
Of course it does.
Yeah, of course. Well, sometimes a leggy dame comes through the door. In this case, a leggy dame does not come through the door. This time, your phone rings.
Nothing for it. Let's see where this goes.
All right. And on the other end of the line is your pal Max Whale, who is a production designer. He works over on I think he works for Paramount. He's been bouncing around to a couple different studios lately. But he is a man who wanted to be an artist and now arguably is kind of an artist, but mostly is involved in working on like production design, movie props, and stuff like that. He's always been a guy that you've been able to go to when you need, something looked into involving art or anything usually involving the studios.
Dex, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. What's up, Max?
I'm sorry. I gave you a call. This seemed rather urgent. I have a friend who wanted to hire you, but is very busy, could not come to your office. Kenneth Strickfaden. Do you know the movie Frankenstein?
Everyone does, I think.
Well, he is man who made props, electronic like equipment for the movies. He's one of the greatest who ever did it. And well, apparently his house has been robbed. He doesn't want to call the cops for reasons. He'd prefer to have you take a look at it.
Always the reasons. Yeah,
Yes.
I can look into this. What's his address?
He lives in Santa Monica, 853 26th Street. Supposed to go knock on the garage door when you arrive, which is his workshop.
All right. I'll look into it.
Yes, all right. I know that you would always appreciate it. He has quite a bit of money, so he might be able to help you out. But he is a good man. He's a good man. Make sure you help him out.
I'll do my best.
You now have your address. Is there anything you would like to do before you go over? I'm not saying that there is, but I will say just one thing just to make you think of this. Whenever you are dealing with new people or new stuff like that, you are allowed to spend a little bit of time researching them. If you notice you have research as one of your investigative abilities. Research doesn't necessarily mean you go through deep archives. It could just be like you look up if there's anything you can know about this person. Yeah. So I'm not even saying there's a ton to know about this person, but I'm just trying to put that bead into your head that anytime you hear a new name, you can try to research them. Grab your phone book or see if you know anything else about them.
Yeah. Couldn't hurt to
Yeah.
look a little bit into this guy before I.
Yeah. He is Max might have actually been underselling this guy. He worked on Frankenstein, The Lost City, Bride of Frankenstein, Amazing Exploits of the Clutching Hand, all sorts of really, really popular movies. He's had a hand in a lot of them. The thing, he is not a prop designer. I mean, he is, but most of the stuff he does is done with electrical equipment. It's not like you're going to be able to, do this stuff with a computer to add in later. You need to really make crazy electrical things that give off crazy sparks and stuff. So he is a master electrician, though that means that he makes possibly very dangerous things. Yeah. With that, you can head over. This is Los Angeles, so you definitely have a car. What kind of car do you think Dex drives? This is a nice car, a shitty car. I don't think you know the names of cars from the 40s, but what are we thinking?
Oh, probably something at least a little bit.
Okay.
He doesn't have a nice car, but it's not falling apart.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So you make your ride over to Santa Monica. It's, kind of on the other side of town from where you live. technically a different town, sort of, but you end up in a very pleasant middle-class neighborhood. And as you pull up to the house looks like just your standard middle-class suburban home. Although, actually, the true version of what the suburbs will become in this country is not going to really happen until after the war. But still, this is very much a classic, a family home. There's a detached garage, and there's a car sitting in the driveway, and nothing seems to be out of order.
All right, then. Nothing for it. Let's knock on the garage door.
All right. A worried man who is middle-aged, balding, but pretty fit, answers your door. He's got goggles perched on the top of his head. He is sweating like crazy. He seems like a nice guy, probably like a pretty interesting guy who's having a really lousy day. As he is moving around his shop, he gestures, and you see that this garage must be a workshop of some sort. And also, the whole place is just a disaster area. There are shelves that are empty. There's tons of electronic equipment all over the floor. Things like that. It's a gigantic mess. He says, You are Mr. Raymond, yes?
I am.
Excellent, excellent. Yes, I wish to hire you. Someone has robbed my workshop.
I can see that.
Yes. Yes, I was hoping that you could recover my lost equipment.
All right. Then I suppose we ought to start investigating.
Yes. I will tell you everything that I know.
By all means.
Okay. So, I was in my workshop last night. I was working in the lab late one night. No. This must have been around 4 a.m. I was improving the wiring on my retrogressive wave charger when there was a heavy knock on the door. And when I answered, I was met with the business end of a Tommy gun being poked into my sternum. There was the guy, he had a crazy look in his eye, so I didn't want to try anything. He backed me into the shop and started asking me questions about all my equipment. It seemed like he was trying to look for one thing in particular. He was asking, I don't know what, he was asking details about all of my stuff, and then eventually he just seemed to decide that he wanted everything. So I loaded, actually, several bits of my equipment into the crates that I usually use to transport things to the studio, and I marched several of these crates to a truck he had parked outside. He had his finger on the trigger the whole time, and, he made me get rid of my own livelihood and then watch him drive away with it.
Well, that's a hell of a night you had.
No kidding. I'm trying to make sure that I have a list of everything that I've lost. Oh, what were we going to say real quick?
Assess honesty. Is he being straight with me?
He is being straight with you. He definitely seems extremely worried. But, and for the record, assess honesty is not quite a lie detector, but it is going to give you an idea of, like, sort of the underlying feelings of what's going on. He definitely seems very, very nervous about what is going on. Like there's something maybe more dangerous than just having his things taken. Yeah. This would be a chance to ask him some questions.
Let's see. Can you describe who was it that came to your door?
I'll do the best that I can. He was wearing a bit of a disguise. He had a slouch hat and a scarf that was covering most of his face. The little bit of features that I could see, he had sort of pink and puffy. It like he had recently been burned or something. He wore heavy gloves. But the hand on the machine gun, I think he might have been in an accident or something. His hand was like twisted, almost like a claw. He was not particularly tall, 5'9", maybe. He was very knowledgeable about the equipment. He was able to identify things as like, oh, this would help with voltage boosting, and he was able to figure out what things did and whatnot. I was trying to find out more from him. I was trying to push him, but I didn't want to get shot. He had a strange voice, harsh, raspy, distinctive, at least. Yeah. He knew who I was. He referred to me by name. He recognized some of the props from Frankenstein.
All right. You said you were putting together a list of everything he took?
Yes, I was putting together a list. Unfortunately, I don't know why he would take these items. I mean, some of them have quite a lot of resale value if you were to go to one of the local pawn shops. That's what I actually usually do. I buy things from pawn shops to cannibalize for equipment, so I suppose he could be trying to sell to pawn shops. But he was definitely looking for a part or parts that he needed to make some sort of device. We're all loading it into that wild, I think it was like a military truck or van, or not a van, a military truck. It looked like something off an army base. I will just tell you, with a little bit of cop talk, you have heard some recent scuttlebutt when you were last chatting with a police officer that a National Guard equipment depot in Inglewood recently suffered a break-in.
That does seem like a pretty important note.
Yeah. I'm making a list of my what was stolen, and I would try to talk to the dealers and pawnbrokers where you might fence this equipment, but I don't really want to contact them myself. See, if I do, then maybe people would know that my equipment had been taken. I'm less worried about this man coming for me again, and more, well, there are some certain hobbyists that might try to buy my equipment before I'm able to get it back. Someday, I mean, nutty as it sounds, I think some of this might even become valuable to a certain sort of collector.
Huh. Yeah. That'll never happen.
Okay. The one thing I must ask you, I know that you may occasionally have worked with the police. I
Once
really
or twice.
do not want the police involved in this. Does that make sense? Look, some of this equipment is very dangerous. Very dangerous. These are not weapons, of course, but they use extremely high voltage. You could really hurt yourself. And if the police got some of this back, they might hold on to it in a police locker where it might collect dust for an extremely long time, and where I know things get damaged or disappear. I really want my equipment back. If that makes sense.
I'll do everything I can to make sure you get your equipment back. And I won't go to the police.
Thank you. All right. So here, and he rips out a piece of paper. Here's a list of many of the dealers and pawnbrokers that you might be able to speak to. And, this will be maybe most useful, I memorized and jotted down the license plate number of the truck.
Oh, that is very useful.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, take this. I will let you, if there's any other questions, let me know. I'll let you examine the garage in case there's anything that you think you might be able to find to track this man down, but I really need those parts back. It's my livelihood.
I'll bring them back, best I can.
All right. Thank you. I won't bore you with the negotiating the expenses and whatnot. It's not that kind of role playing game, but he's going to offer you a pretty good deal for this sort of stuff. Okay. All right.
All right.
So, are there any investigative abilities that you would like to use in the garage right here?
The one that makes the most sense to me is evidence collection.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right. Looking around. I
don't really have a reason to doubt him, so
yeah.
I don't think anything else here applies.
Yeah. You actually are able to find a clear, slightly viscous liquid splattered across the floor of the workshop.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, you don't know much about viscous liquids, but it doesn't look like anything you've seen before.
Okay.
Yeah. Outside of that, everything seems to be consistent with what he said. You see signs of, like, crates being pushed and stuff like that. And again, stuff thrown on the ground. But looking around, you're not able to find any fingerprints. The guy's wearing gloves. He never fired anything, so you're not going to be able to find any shell casings or anything like that. No tire marks, really, in the street or anything like that. All you could find is this weird liquid that seems to be around. What is that you are looking at there?
I have no idea.
Oh. Well, I have no idea what that is either. That does not... How did that get in here? That's probably all you're going to be able to find here, because you've used your, collect evidence. That's always going to be successful. Is there anything else you'd like to do in the neighborhood, or are there any of these leads that you'd like to try to follow down?
I'm not sure if I could get anything too helpful from walking around the neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, you could try. You could try to, like, knock on some doors and look around if you would like.
Yeah. I don't think it justifies itself.
Okay.
The way I look at it, I've got 3 leads I can follow up on.
Which are?
Technically 4.
Okay.
The military supply depot might be a good place to start. As would the truck that presumably came from said military supply depot.
How are you going to find the truck?
That's the big question. I have its license plate. I don't know what that's going to get me in the era of when crime was easy.
I mean, you could try to figure out, like, those are on file. You'd be able to figure out, who... You would need to use cop talk to talk to some cops about it, get access to the records, but you could figure out what the deal is on that license plate. You could even maybe see if anybody, like, that truck is turned up anywhere or something like that.
That'd be also a good place to start.
Yeah.
Of option 3 is I take this mysterious liquid down to my chemist friend and ask what the hell.
Yeah. Yeah, you could go talk to Virginia Ashbury, who works at UCLA. Although at this time they would just call it the University of California.
Naturally.
Yes. Well, all 3 of those seem like leads that you could follow. You said there was maybe a 4th?
Well, yeah. Going around talking to people.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, and you also have that list of pawn shops you can go through, but there's like 15 names on that. There's like 15 names on that list. Going through that is going to take a couple of days.
Yeah. No, I get the impression that whatever these were taken for, it was not for pawn shop reasons.
Yeah.
Call it a bit of genre savviness.
I mean, you might be able to find something, even if you are probably right. They're probably not just buying it to sell stuff, but,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think I'll start with the mysterious liquid.
All right.
Because that's what I'm most curious about at the moment.
What is it about the mysterious liquid of mystery that makes you so interested? I think it's pretty normal. No. You make time to meet up with your friend Virginia Ashbury at the university. she is, let's see. She is relatively pleased to see you. She doesn't really have anything on your plate. Dex, darling, it's good to see you again. Yeah. What is it? What can I do for you?
I wish this was wasn't a business call, but unfortunately, Dr. Ashbury, I found this at a scene that I was investigating. I hold a little vial of the stuff because I assume I took a sample.
Yeah, you take a sample.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know what it is, and I'm hoping that learning what it is can help me. This was left behind at a B&E.
Huh. Yeah, sure. Let's take a look. So,
Thank you.
as she says as she's bringing the sample over, getting like her microscope and some stuff like that. You know, a little bit of small talk. Yes. So, are you seeing anyone these days, Dex?
Not particularly.
Ah.
Been busy.
Yeah, I understand. All right. Huh. Where was this break-in?
I give her the approximate location. Not gonna dox my client, but...
Okay. This wasn't a zoo or anything like that?
No. No, it was not. What is this stuff, then?
I'm not quite sure. It has quite a bit of similarity to amniotic fluid, but certainly not human amniotic fluid. Okay, and you see that she's going through several books. Let's see if I can have anything I could compare it to. No, it doesn't seem to resemble any animal that I have a sample for. Huh. It would be easier to tell if you had done a better job collecting the sample. No offense, Dex, but you got a bunch of, like, fungal spores in this. I guess that's probably not your fault. Maybe it just was on the floor where it fell down. I wish I could be of more help. I don't know what kind of animal this is, but it's amniotic fluid and full of fungal spores.
Well,
I've never seen anything quite like it. I mean, I'll go through my files. I'll be in touch if I see anything that resembles this, but generally, off the basic, I can't recognize this. But again, it is quite full of, like, this sort of nutrients that would be in, like I said, amniotic fluid. You know what amniotic fluid is. I'm sorry.
I do know what amniotic fluid is.
Yes.
I took high school health class once.
Well, if you could find any more of this, I could, I could try to maybe get a better idea of it, but honestly, probably not. I wish I could be more help, Dex. Normally, you're bringing me, like, gunpowder and stuff like that. This is... I mean, I do appreciate that you're using my abilities as a biologist for once, but I simply... It's bizarre. It's like nothing I've ever seen before.
Well, thanks for your help, Doc. Stay in touch.
Always. And she goes back to doing, and we kind of cut away from that scene.
Yeah.
Where are you headed to now?
Amniotic fluid.
Yeah.
I think...
Unfortunately, I don't know, what could you do you could try to see if that could lead you anywhere. I don't know what it would be off the top of my head, but that's why you're the one solving the mystery.
Yeah, no. That was definitely interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to give me here.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, good thing you have other leads, right?
Yeah. Let's start with the start. Like, I didn't just start. Let's, the license plate makes the most sense to me next, because
all right.
that one's a bit more time sensitive.
Got it. Well, you have a friend on the force who's able to take a look at this real quick, and the number is fake. This number does not correspond to any car that has a license. So either Ken misremembered it when he wrote it down, although we seem pretty sure about it, or this was a counterfeit license plate.
Yeah, that shouldn't surprise me.
Now, I'm going to tell you, Streetwise is going to let you know that, a good counterfeit license plate is hard to make. So, and in fact, you know that there's only one guy in town at the moment who's running a counterfeit license plate shop. A career criminal named Virgil Kelm.
All right. It might not hurt to see what I can get from Virgil.
All right. Problem is, you don't necessarily know where his workshop is these days, but you can start asking around the usual haunts, go into the illicit businesses, try to track him down. As you are in about the fourth place that you go to, you are met up with a huge guy. Huge man approaches you. He's a mountain of muscle. He's like 6'2". And he says, "Hey, I hear you've been asking questions about Kelm. I need you to stop asking questions about Kelm."
And I don't suppose you'd be pleasant enough to point me in his direction so that I stop.
I need you to understand that I don't want any private dicks making trouble for him, okay? He looked out for me when we were in prison together, okay? So, and, he sort of very obviously flexes his muscle. This guy, as you're looking at him more, is like, oh, if he was in prison with them, this is going to be Jormir Zykla. This guy is a former wrestling champion.
Of course he is. All right. I'm gonna go the soft approach on this one. I'm gonna try and use reassurance to convince him that I don't mean any harm.
Okay. That is not going to work unless you want to spend one of your 4 pushes.
I'll spend it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
He decides how do you reassure him?
I tell him, hey, look, I don't want to cause him any trouble. I just need to know about a fake license plate. That's all. No cops. No nothing. Once I find out what I need to know, you'll never hear from me again, unless you want to hire my services, in which case, I offer a discount for people who give me information.
All right. You just leave him alone, okay? If I find out that he gets hurt somehow, I'm coming for you. But thankfully, you are able to avoid dealing with this pound of muscle. This mountain of muscle, this huge beast of a man.
Yes, I would hope he would have more than at least 1 pound of muscle.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that. Maybe 300 pounds of muscle. I don't know. Regardless, you are able to escape him, and you actually find a Skid Row barfly who directs you to hardware store in Chavez Ravine, where Kelm is currently.
Let's go find out what he can tell me here.
All right. The place appears to be a normal hardware store. You don't see Kelm or his illegal operations going on. They are probably going on in a back room or whatnot. I will give you just this sort of hint for now. You have the skill Streetwise. Streetwise is kind of knowing what's going on with criminals and how to act like a criminal.
I do figure that's my best way in.
Yes. Act like a client is the way to do it, to get access to him. So, using your streetwise, you're able to get past the store clerk to get into a back room.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
What's waiting for me back here?
It's a workshop that is full of fake plates and stuff like that. Kelm himself looks, he's a slightly shorter guy, a little bit twitchy, and you notice that he has like a really big scar on his forehead, a new scar on his forehead. Maybe that's why Jeremiah was coming after you, because maybe somebody had been coming after Kelm. It almost looks like it's like a bullet wound scar, but it's in the middle of his forehead, so it can't be a bullet, because, that's not how that works. Because if you get shot in the head, you tend to be dead.
Yeah, that is typically how that happens.
Mr. Raymond, you come to meet me. I'm here to do work for you. What do you need?
I need a little help.
What do you need help with? Oh.
Someone has been going around stealing some very dangerous stuff with a fake license that you provided. I'm not asking you to violate client confidentiality. I understand how important that is in your business. But I need a hint in the right direction before he gets himself or somebody else killed.
I'm sorry. I don't quite know what you're talking about.
I don't even need to assess honesty, Tin.
Yeah, no, it's going ablaze. Like, he's clearly lying.
I'm sorry. Is there a particular client of mine you're looking for? You realize that I cannot tell you information about my clients.
Well, I tried the soft approach. Hard approach it is, intimidation.
Okay.
And at this point, I kind of slam him against a wall and say, let me make this a little more clear. You will give me this information because we both know you have it. And then I'll walk away and you'll be fine. How does that sound?
He is remarkably not phased too much by being pushed up against the wall. And in fact, sort of pushes back against you. And says, listen, I have been in this business for a very long time. I am not telling you a thing. Get the fuck out of my store.
Okay, I've got one last card to play for intimidation.
Okay.
Well, that's fine. And I wouldn't worry, too much about your business. I'm sure you know how it is out in the street these days. Fucking cops everywhere, Places like this don't last 5 minutes.
I pay the appropriate bribes. Get
There's
out of my
always someone
store.
higher.
You don't know anything about the system. I somehow have developed a little bit of an accent. I'm not sure when that happened.
It's kind of switched. It's kind of like shifted into Russian a bit.
Yeah. You actually notice that it seems like you've met him once or twice before. He seems, you're leaning on him like this normally would have done the trick. The fact that he's not willing to, even sell somebody out for, normally what he would do is say, hey, give me X amount of dollars and I will tell you what's going on. He seems uninterested in doing that this time, which is a little odd. Yeah. He presses a button and a little bell rings, and 3 large gentlemen walk into the room. These men are going to see you out, detective.
Of course.
If you don't fight back, they'll just let you out. Yeah.
But I also lose the lead.
You do lose the lead. And you actually see that he tells a couple of them, okay, we're actually going to close the shop for the day. You guys can go home. Yeah. And you see Kelm actually is hopping in his car and driving away from the hardware store. I suppose you could try to follow him.
Yeah. It did occur to me that I do have shadowing as a general ability.
Yeah.
I don't think I should this feels like my strongest lead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna follow him. I'm gonna do some shadowing.
Okay. So investigative abilities always work or they always don't work. General abilities you have to roll for. But I'm going to let you know in advance what that's going, a little bit about what you're going to get. If you're going to roll as many dice as you have in the skill shadowing. How much do you have in shadowing?
2.
2, okay. So if you get a 7 or higher, you will succeed. And you will get what is called an advance. That means things are going well, you're moving forward. If you get a 3 to a 6, you are going to get what is called a hold, which means that you are going to, things aren't going to be great, but you're going to move forward. And if you get a 2 or less, you are going to have a setback. That is what's going to happen in this roll. Other rolls, there might be different numbers. There is one more thing you could do. Whenever you are making a roll, you could take an additional problem that is going to make your life a little bit more difficult in the future, but you will get an additional die for the roll.
And that's different from pushing.
This is separate than the pushes that you have. Pushes are for investigative abilities. Extra problems are for general abilities.
Okay, well, I don't think... If I'm rolling 2 dice, I don't think I'll need the extra problem.
Okay.
Famous last words, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Let's see. A 6 and a 4.
Oh, that's really good.
Yes, it is. I'm very happy with how that turned out.
All right. Kelm leads you straight to a Santa Monica apartment building and is oblivious to you the whole time. Also,
Good old Santa Monica.
You notice something. This is also this is your little bonus because you succeeded so well. You've been watching him for a long time. First of all, he probably should have noticed you a couple of times, but he didn't. That could be because he's distracted, and you are pretty good at shadowing people. But there's something a little bit odd about how he's moving. You don't think you would have noticed it if you hadn't been watching him for such a long time, but he's driving and even walking. He hops out of the car and is like looking at the apartment and then is looking at it. He doesn't go inside though. He's just a little bit jerky here and there. Something's a little bit odd about how he's moving. It's not going to be easily noticeable by most people, but you're watching him for, about an hour and you're like, he's... he must have like maybe he has an injury, but it seems to be,
Or he could be replaced by a lizard man.
A lizard man? Lizard men are in the other case that I didn't give you.
Something's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So, he gets out of the car in front of this apartment. Do you do anything?
Yeah, let's follow this, see where it goes.
Okay. He goes in and, with some binoculars looking in the 3rd floor of this apartment building. You see through the window that he's knocking on a door several times. He even tries to kick the door a couple of times. And then frustratingly just leaves the apartment and goes back to his car. You could confront him before he goes if you would like, or you could just try to go to the apartment.
I'm going to try and go to the apartment, see what I can get from here.
Okay. You go to this again. It's on Rose Avenue in Santa Monica. And you go up to the door that you saw him looking at. It is locked.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what I've got.
The Stars Aren't Alright is an actual play Call of Cthulhu podcast. The year is 2903. This far future is a time of marvels and discovery, but something dark lies at the heart.
If it is displeasurable to the audience for me to whip lube at people, I will retract that desire.
Anyways, yeah, a horrifying secret lies at the heart of...
Pyoder's gonna try to disguise himself as an oxygen tank.
That's impossible.
Stop talking. Follow me. No one's gonna die. Ooh. Okay.
You responded very well to that.
Yeah, alright, fine. You can listen to The Stars Hunt, alright? An actual play Call of Cthulhu podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey Paul, would you say that you are haunted by nightmares of the things that have happened on the Crow's Codex?
I occasionally have some difficult dreams that come up. Most of those are associated with the most recent story.
Anything in particular with the most recent story that's really haunted you?
The time where there were more mouths than we expected, or more eyes than we expected, or more eyes in mouths than we expected. It's hard to narrow it down.
Was it the fish with human teeth?
It's definitely up there.
If any of these things sound horrible to you, you can find them and more on the Crow's Codex, now part of the Imaginary Broadcast Network. It's as real as you want it to be.
You might have just...
I've got locksmith.
Yes. You know how to pick a lock.
Oh boy.
That'll get you in just fine. You did see that there was a, cigar-puffing landlady who had her door open on the first floor, but she's not around here, and she didn't seem to really care about people coming in and out.
Oh, landlords could not give a fuck. I'm pretty sure you could shoot someone right in front of a landlord, and so long as you didn't do it in an apartment, they'd be like, yeah, whatever. Make sure you clean that up.
All right. It is a little later in the day now. Looking around for Kelm took quite some time. It's like 7, 8 o'clock at this point. As you go inside the room, it's weird. You notice that there are drop cloth covers all over the wooden floor of this the small living room. And there are electronic components lying in tiny piles all over.
That's promising.
Yes. As you're looking around, yeah, this seems to be an apartment that has not, it seems like, unfortunately, if these are not the electronic equipment that you were sent to get. This seems like other smaller electronic devices. And you do find, as you are looking around the place, a sketch for a device using a bunch of electronic equipment. Looking at it, and also using your knowledge of devices, and looking at the list, this looks like it's a gun, encircled by a hoop. Like, almost like a Tesla coil, but a gun. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like most of the pieces that you would need to actually construct the gun are here. However, you do notice that some of the pieces that you would use to construct a gun that looks like this are the things that were stolen from your client, Strict Fate.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. However, that wouldn't have been enough. There would need to be more. Also, I should note, you don't know a ton about electronic devices. You're just able to read names off a thing there. This looks like a movie prop that they're trying to like this would be like a laser gun that an alien would use or something like that. You also find a piece of paper underneath the cloth, and there are several names on it. I'm going to post that list for you. This is the names and the order that you see them in. You could, if you like, you could read those names there. I'll let you look at them while you try to make decisions.
Virgil Kelm. Ethel Hagenow? Hagenow?
Yeah.
Sarah Nurse Hagenow. The big one. The other big one. Everett Oler.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely know one of those names.
You do, yes. Again, you're sort of, I didn't have you technically tell me you were using evidence collection, but as soon as you broke into the apartment, you were using evidence collection. So
yeah, you know what I wanted to do.
Exactly. Yeah, we skipped it. We don't need to say it. You find pay stubs from the LAPD and paperwork showing that somebody was in the National Guard. Both belong to somebody named Irwin.
Irwin, huh?
Yeah. I guess they would have a last name on that. Paul Irwin. Paul Irwin.
Irwin Paulerwell.
Paul Irwin.
Could you write that out for me?
Paul Irwin?
Paul Irwin. Okay. In my defense, I'm an idiot. Quite a few different things I could follow up on now.
Well, it is getting rather late. You can continue to work through the night, though that might tire you out and make things more difficult going forward. You maybe do one more, if there's something you could do that would still be open right now, you could try to do that, but things are getting rather
Do the offices of the National Guard ever close?
I mean, yeah, the offices are going to close. There's people are going to answer your calls all the time. If there's like an emergency, it's the National Guard. There might be one or two people around, but normally, like, you call in people from the National Guard. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
God forbid my life be easy and they have a registry or some shit.
Yeah. But yeah, it's both the LAPD and National Guard. He seems to have... He was employed by the LAPD and the National Guard.
Well... The LAPD might be the easier way to approach that.
Yeah.
Easier in air quotes.
I should note, look, as I, Daniel Fernandez, am somebody who lives in Los Angeles, and the cops aren't great to this day. But in this time, the cops were also notoriously corrupt.
Yes, yes.
Nowadays, they have their own gangs that they form. During these times, when Dex is going to be running around, many of them are just kind of owned by what's called the System, which is the organized crime element of Los Angeles. There are good cops, of course, but good in quotes.
Yeah.
But they are definitely outnumbered by the corrupt cops. So you could probably get information from the LAPD. I just want to make sure that we are clear that they are, it's bad news. Yeah.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I might be able to cop talk my way through it, but...
You could, yes, absolutely. That's why you have cop talk. That means that you have, you chat with the cops, you know about them, you know what's going on. You also have that list of names that you could take a look at. Try to research if you could find any of those people's names.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess you also could, there's some other leads you could still follow, that we've talked about. Although,
right.
Yeah, it is getting rather late.
Part of me really wants to do just one more thing before the night ends, but another part of me is like, no, that's stupid. Get some sleep.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think you probably get some sleep then. Let's have you get some sleep.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Do you here's my question for you. Do you like sleep at the office? Do you have an apartment attached to the office? Do you have a separate place where you live? What do you think?
I probably have an apartment like attached to the office.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When your home away from home is also your home.
Exactly. Yes.
Makes it easier.
All right. You wake up and you see you see the LA Times has a shrieking headline at the top of it. Machine gun kill brings down hero cop. There was a murder in Santa Monica in the early morning hours last night.
Of course.
The Santa Monica PD called in an ace homicide detective from the LAPD. Actually, your pal Ted Gargan's in charge of the investigation.
I know that guy.
Yeah. The victim was an officer Tim Jackson, 29. He had a wife and 2 young kids.
Oh, of course he did.
He was killed while sitting in his vehicle by what looks like a spray of machine gun bullets. Like a Tommy gun.
Yes, I understood the,
Yes.
the implication there.
Yes. The investigation remains in its early hours, and the department can, as of yet, supply no further details.
Well, let's go visit a crime scene.
You don't quite know where the crime scene is, but you could probably, you could give your buddy Gargan a call, but he's not supposed to just tell you about things that are going on. But you could try to give him a call, or you could just try to drive around Santa Monica and like follow the police to see if you could figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like police, like sirens tend to be pretty noticeable.
Yeah.
In general.
The sirens probably aren't going off anymore, though.
And Santa Monica is huge.
Yeah, Santa Monica is pretty big. Yeah, they did not give the exact address of where the kill happened.
Yeah, of course not.
Yeah. You could give Gargan a call, though.
I think that's what I'll do.
All right. You call his office, and the telephone gal tells you that, I'm sorry, Dex. Officer Gargan's at a scene right now. I can leave a message for him.
Oh, part of me is wondering if I can try and needle the location out of the operator lady.
You could
but
try.
That's probably not going... well...
I'm not going to say it's going to work, but it's a role-playing game. And do whatever you want to try to do. But
yeah. She's technically a cop, right?
She is, yes.
Maybe I can cop talk my way through this.
Dex, we've talked about this. I can't just be giving you leads all the time.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know I'm just out to see a friend.
I don't think this is the time to be talking to Gargan, okay? Teddy's busy, okay? They're pulling him in and sending him all the way to fucking Santa Monica. Okay?
Yeah.
I like you, Dex. I like you. But it's when it's interdepartmental stuff like this, I can't be messing around. You could make a push to get
I think
this.
I would like to. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. You spent half your pushes, okay.
Hey, you told me to spend them all.
This is true. All right.
And I don't know how much longer this game is going to last. We've been at this for like an hour.
Yeah. Okay, Dex. Okay. And she gives you an address. Just don't try to stay out of this one. Yeah. All right.
Nothing will possibly go wrong.
Yeah. Right? You go to the scene of the crime. This is actually within walking distance of Irwin's apartment that you went to the other day. The police are examining a vehicle as you pull up. There's and you are told to back off. Though one of them says, "Hey, Dex, come on over. I'll get Gargan for you." Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Ted Gargan is chomping on a cigar, looking at a bullet-ridden car, and says, "Dex, what the fuck are you doing here?"
Well, I could tell you I'm here to chat, but I'm not going to disrespect you or your time like this.
I appreciate it.
I'm working an off-the-books case where someone was robbed at gunpoint with a Tommy gun. Pretty rare these days, and this feels related.
You know that Tommy guns are one of the most common guns used by crooks. Yes, they are relatively rare, but just because your guy got robbed by a Tommy gun and my guy got killed by a Tommy gun doesn't mean it's the same thing. Look, I don't have time to fucking talk to you, Dex. Okay? We need to track this psychopath down who killed this man. Unless, do you have proof that this case that you're working on is connected to my case? You better not be withholding information about a cop killing. So either you prove to me that you could give me something, or you get off my crime scene.
Oh. What to do?
Look, Dex, you know I like you, but when it comes to cop killings, we can't be messing around.
Of course not, of course not. Yeah. Now me, Nathan, the player, is wondering what to do.
Yeah. You would need to somehow officially connect this killing to, or have more evidence than, hey, I know a guy got robbed with a Tommy gun. Sorry, it's a little too much of a stretch for Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just, because, like, if I say, hey, some of the stolen stuff is, like, or, you know, is, like, stored in a place that's walking distance from here, I can, you know, get on this, but at the same time, I feel like that would really be betraying my client on this one.
Yeah. To be fair, none of your client stuff was at that apartment.
True.
But, yeah.
But he was very clear about,
Yeah. In that case, you could go your own way. Just know, if Gargan eventually finds out that you were hiding information about a cop killer, it's going to hurt your relationship with him.
Yeah, of course it is. All right. Can I trust you to exercise the appropriate caution in a situation you do not fully understand?
I understand fucking plenty, Dex. I think I understand more than you. The mayor's on my ass.
Don't be so sure, man. This is some sci-fi bullshit. And, I explained to him the gist of what I've seen and what has happened. And that equipment that I found is 50 feet that way. And that doesn't feel like a coincidence.
Okay, we'll follow up on that lead. We'll check the apartment. So you're telling me, you may say that this guy's building a ray gun. That doesn't look like he got killed by a ray gun. And he gestures toward a vehicle that, again, has been filled with Tommy gun fire. Look, I can't let you I can't let you into the morgue. But here, take a look at this picture. And he shows you a morgue photo. The pattern of bullets hit Jackson, the hero cop, right arm and chest, suggesting that he had like his arm out when the killer opened fire, and the killer changed range while shooting, with some of the strikes hitting from as far as 28 feet away, and others, the wounds to the heart, striking at point-blank range. Okay, we'll check out that scene. I guess you can look around here, but our boys pretty much cleaned everything up. Thanks for the lead, Dex. Hopefully it leads fucking somewhere.
Yeah, and like I said, if you find out, if this connects, if some of the equipment connects to a legendary movie maker, just let the man be.
If anything is related to the death of a cop, I'm not going to let things be. You know that, Dex. We look out for our own. Of course.
Philosophy that has never once caused problems. What? Sorry, nothing. Anyway, thanks for your help, man.
You are now at the crime scene. Unfortunately, all that you really see is the vehicle, which, looking at, seems to be more or less what is described there. Is there anything else you would like to do to examine what's going on around here?
I'm thinking about the bullet pattern. Mm-hmm. The implication is either that he could I tell if it was a like one continuous burst of fire, or if
It seems
he
like
shot
it
him.
was. Yes.
Okay. Then that means he either killed him while walking closer to him, which some Terminator shit right there.
Yeah.
Or the car was coming at him and he was firing.
Yeah. The fact that one of them was kind of point blank range, it means that he was like right on top of the guy. It does not look like the car hit anything, if that makes sense. Like if the guy was driving and he was being fired at, the car probably would have like spun out of control or something like that. This just sort of looks like he was sitting in a car.
And someone started walking at him menacingly while firing a gun.
Yes.
What the hell?
Yeah. His arm was out, maybe. Is there any skills you would like to use in this area?
Good question. All right. I mean, aside from evidence collection...
Oh, you want to use evidence collection? The obvious skill that you should use in all situations? Yeah, let's use evidence collection.
Yeah, I mean, kind of feels a little on the nose, but,
All right. So the cops have been running roughshod through this place. If there were any major clues, they've either collected them or destroyed them.
Of course.
But you do notice that in a house nearby, like just across the street from where the murder happened, you are just sort of looking around. You're looking at the houses. There's one house that has nobody in it, but you do notice that there is a brand spanking new fancy padlock on the door of a garage across the street from where the killing happened. It doesn't look like it fits with the rest of the house, and there's just something that, like, this seems weird.
Huh.
The place should have already had a lock, but instead there is a new fancy padlock.
And this place looks like someone still lives in it?
No one appears to be home at the... There's no car. You go knock on the door, nobody answers, but it doesn't look like it's an empty house.
Now, the polite thing to do would be to wait for someone to come home or to, leave a message with them.
Yeah.
The impolite and much funnier and faster option is to do the old classic B&E.
Okay.
With a bit of locksmithing.
All right. So you want to open up this padlock on the garage?
I do, I think.
All right. You could slip in without noticing. Even with the police officers that are still around, it's fine. It is actually sort of tucked away from the main street. You can't really see it. You have to sort of walk a ways to get to it. As you open the garage door, you are immediately taken aback by the smell of body decomposition.
Great.
You see there's piles of woodworking equipment pushed up against a wall, which has room for like a big, large vehicle, but that vehicle is not present. It seems like that woodworking equipment was sort of spread around, like this was maybe somebody's like woodworking shop, but it was kind of haphazardly shoved to the side to make room for a big vehicle. In that big empty space, there are a bunch of oil stains from a large transport vehicle of some sort. And there is a second vehicle, a Plymouth sedan. And there is a dead man in the back seat of the Plymouth sedan.
Cool. Okay. I'm gonna look a bit more into this dead man.
He was shot in the head and chest with 3 shots from what looks like a 45 caliber like pistol. Looking at the state of decomposition, he's been dead maybe 3 to 5 days.
Any identification on him?
No.
Of course.
As you're looking around, though, you also see, neatly arranged and ready for action on a workbench, it's like an arsenal of Tommy guns, of explosives, there's 3 Thompson submachine guns, 6 45 caliber pistols, 3 .38 revolvers, a bunch of ammo, and additional magazines. These all look like military weapons.
I think I found the guy who robbed the military depot.
Did you? You think it's that body? Or
I
do you
don't
think
know.
Yeah.
But at the very least, I think I found what was stolen from the military depot.
Yes, that is probably the case. And you see that there is a silk scarf next to the workbench that's soiled with a dried fluid of some kind. Finally, there is a road map of Los Angeles, and there is like a path traced from this garage to another house.
Do I know the house? Have I ever been there before?
No. It's in Bunker Hill, one of the nicer neighborhoods.
I should probably get there before somebody gets shot to death.
Okay. Is that what you do? You're going to
I
follow
think so,
this?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's follow this map.
Okay. Yeah. You don't have time to figure it out. You're like, you are probably reasonably saying, like, I gotta get there before this person gets killed.
Yeah. Like, at this point, we have well established that when this person's crazy, they're out to steal several things. They have a fucking arsenal, and his reaction to one cop was to shoot him for a solid 20 feet of forward movement. I need to get there.
All right. You hop in your car and drive like a madman, probably. You know, probably fast, to Bunker Hill Avenue between 2nd and 3rd. It's a Gothic-styled manor. Some of these manors have been sort of fallen into disrepair or being cut up and turned into cheap apartments. But this one is a well-maintained, Victorian, splendorific manor. You don't see anyone here.
Naturally. Well,
Did you go knock on the door?
a little bit of investigation. Woo!
All right. You climb the wooden steps to the manor door, which you find ajar.
Oh boy, here we go. I'm gonna step in.
All right.
Quietly.
On the other side of the threshold is the body of a middle-aged man in a butler's uniform. He was shot through the head and the chest. The body is still warm.
Still warm.
Yeah.
So, I was barely too late.
Yeah.
Alright. I'm going into a dangerous situation. So, God help me. Let's do this.
All right. You enter into the parlor and see something horrible.
I'm a
There
PI. You're gonna
is-
have to be more specific.
Yes. There is what you realize is a corpse as you look at it a little longer. But you see that there are blackened stumps for this person's lower legs. There's a circular ash pattern all around a body that's sitting in a chair. There's shards of coal-covered material all over the place. None of them are larger than a thumbnail. That seem to exploded out of the center of the room, and they're in all the plaster walls and the wood molding. As you look at them, you realize these seem to be melted chunks of bone. This looks like the person exploded. I need you to make a stability check.
Yeah, that makes sense.
9 is an advance, 5 to 8 is a hold, a 4 or less is a setback. You may take an extra problem if you would like.
You know what? I am going to take that extra problem.
You gain the problem, repression gets a bummer. Push that distressing image down deep inside you. It won't come out at an unfortunate time, surely. Whenever you take a stability challenge, this is from now on, whenever you take a stability challenge, you may choose to take a minus X penalty and discard this card. The value of X starts at 1 and increases by 1 each time you decline to take the penalty. On the last stability challenge of the case, you must take the penalty. So you don't need to take it right now, but in a future stability test, you are going to be doing worse.
Got it. Okay.
So now you may roll your stability check and you get an additional die.
So that would be 3 dice.
Yes.
Okay, well that's a 1. That's a 3.
Oh.
That's a 5. 8. 9. That's a 9.
That's a 9?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's exactly what you needed to get the good success. This is definitely a bizarre setup. So little of the victim remains that it seems less gruesome than it is fascinating. In fact, you're going to get a bonus card, what's called an edge card. It's called Forensic Detachment. You may spend this to counter any problem gained during a stability test, as long as it's not a mythos shock.
So I can just say, how about I don't have the repression gets a unwrap card?
Technically, yeah, kind of. You can kind of counter it out that way. Yeah, that worked out well for you.
It did. It really did.
Yeah, it really did. All right. So you get a chance to look at them a little bit. There is the only thing that you really notice at the body, I mean, besides the fact that it seems to have been exploded, as you're looking around, you see a metallic tube not far from Ethel's calf stumps.
Sheesh.
And it seems like it's a tube, and there is another piece of metal that is like crudely welded onto the tube that resembles the stock of a pistol.
So that's a gun.
Well, you take a look at it. Your hand, the actual part that you would pull to fire, you can't get your fingers into it. It doesn't seem like it's designed for a human hand.
That lines up with everything I've heard so far.
Should note that this also does not appear to be similar. This seems to be very different than the design of the ray gun or whatever that was being built in that apartment. Seems to be a different, bizarre, maybe gun.
How many of those does one person need, honestly?
Yeah. This seems to be more the size of a pistol. The one that presumably Irwin was working on, it was more like a rifle. There is a locked door adjoining the parlor. And again, there is the rest of the manor that you could investigate as well.
All right. Let's evidence collection all over this place. And that locked door, I can just...
You could locksmith it open.
Yeah.
The main thing you notice, this seems to be this woman's study. Oh, I gave her a name a couple times there.
Yes, you did call her Ethel.
I did call her Ethel. I don't know. You gotta find... No, you didn't know the name. Though actually looking around, you do find like... now you're going to learn her name because you see that there are a bunch of letters written by Ethel. And they are party invitations. In fact, the desk is overflowing with party invites from Ethel. The invitation list reads like a who's who of LA's upper crust establishment. It's got Harry Chandler, who's a real estate mogul. The guy he also owns the LA Times. Baron Fitz, Estelle Doney, the Archbishop. There's about 100 of the big movers and shakers of Los Angeles, some of the rich and most powerful people that are all being invited over to a party in about a week here. Also, underneath the desk is a shipping box labeled from the Ursus Medical Supplies in Orange County. It contains 144 syringes.
Jesus. I don't know, Ethel. Do you think you have enough syringes?
Yeah. However, the label shows that the box was not actually shipped here. It was shipped to another address, and it was to a woman named Sarah Hagnow.
I know some of these names.
Oh, do you? You recognizing the name Ethel?
Yeah.
Ethel Hagnow?
Mm-hmm.
One of the names on that note?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Trust me, it clicked with me quite quickly.
Yeah, I figured it probably would. Maybe drawing the line for our audience, maybe. That seems to be the most important stuff. In fact, as you're looking around, it seems like Ethel has been mostly staying in her study and been doing a lot of work there. Again, exploring the house in general, it is a huge manor, but nothing seems to be majorly out of place outside of... It's a rich person's house. But the biggest thing you find is, again, the exploded corpse, the guy shot to death, all of those party invitations, and a weird box full of syringes.
I gotta find Sarah Hag now. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
Okay.
At this point.
Do you call the police or anything? You probably don't have time for that. I don't know.
Maybe just like a quick, here's an address, there are a couple corpses, good fucking luck.
Thanks, Dex.
Yeah.
So, do you follow the address to this Sarah Hag now?
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe I can get there in time.
Yeah. She lives in a quiet bungalow-lined street in Glendale. Her home seems like a regular bungalow. There are no signs of any exploded people or anything like that at the moment. What would you like to do?
Oh, the one thing I always do in a situation. Poke around, irregardless of the consequences.
All right. You go knock on the door?
Yeah.
All right. A lovely young woman, I think she's in her late 20s, opens the door. She's got kind of a striking look. There's something sort of... her eyes are really striking. If you had taken maybe like the loneliness problem, we might be having an issue here. But for right now, you are fine. Yes, I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting any deliveries.
Okay, how do I approach this? It'd be a little intense to say, hey, I think someone's coming to kill you.
So what do you say?
That's a good question. This is the problem. I'm too socially awkward in real life to know how to approach these situations.
Yeah, it's fine. You're a detective. Get some information out of this day.
All right, yeah. You know what? I'm going to start by asking her if she knew, hi, my name's Dexter Raymond. I'm a local detective. I was wondering if you knew an Ethel Hagnow?
Yes, that's my mother-in-law. What's this about?
I'm going to need you to stay calm. May I come inside?
Yes, come in. I hope everything's all right. I've been working with her. We've got a big fundraiser for the local hospital coming up.
I have some very tragic news. I believe I can confirm that she has passed away, and I believe that she has been murdered.
Oh my God. That's impossible. How could she have been murdered?
That's what I'm trying to find out. Now I just gotta figure out what to ask her to find out about it.
I mean, you could, look at the evidence you have, ask her about the stuff, use any skills that you might have. Yeah.
I've played Ace Attorney. When in doubt, present everything.
Yeah. Do you know who killed her?
Does the name... Let's start asking some of these questions. Does the name Paul Irwin mean anything to you?
Paul Irwin? No, I don't think I've ever heard that name before. Is he the one who killed her?
We can't say that for certain yet. How about the name Virgil Kelm?
No, I've never heard that name before.
Assess honesty. She's being truthful about this. Is she?
Something's off with her. Honestly, the thing that's maybe the weirdest is her reaction to the death of her mother-in-law seemed to show alarm, but not necessarily grief. There's just something a little bit off about her. Maybe she just didn't really like her mother-in-law. Maybe she's still in shock. The fact is that is kind of hard to tell if she's lying necessarily.
Yeah.
If you would like, you could make a push to try to get more information, but that is usually got one of your pushes.
How far along am I in the mystery?
I don't know. I can't really tell you.
Yeah,
it kind of depends on where you go. Yeah.
I never know how to pace myself in these things.
Yeah. I would say that you are, like in the back half. I'd say you're probably in the back half of this.
I'll push then. Yeah.
Okay. So this is so yeah, she's, as you're listening to her talk, you start thinking and you're like, you know what? It is weird. Her manner is a little bit odd. She's pausing here and there in slightly odd places, which is exactly how Kelm was talking when you were talking to him. Like, exactly the same.
Oh, boy.
Do you know where this man is? Are you going to kill him?
Okay, yeah, that's a red flag and a half, isn't it?
No, he needs to be brought to justice. If he's a criminal, I know the police can't be trusted.
Now, I need you to calm down. Can you
my husband is very rich. He's out of state at the moment, but I can make sure that you could be rewarded handsomely if we can help find my mother-in-law's killer.
I'm suddenly not so certain I'm tracking down the bad guy in this situation anymore. I didn't say that in character, for the record.
Yeah. Well, detective?
How do I approach this?
Is there any more names you want to ask me about? Is there anything else I could tell you? I want to do anything I can to help you.
Can you tell me about your relationship with your mother-in-law? What the two of you have done together?
We're relatively friendly relationship, or we had a friendly relationship, but I guess she's passed. Like I said, we were organizing a fundraiser for the local hospital. You know, we were going to have fun. All the cocktails were going to be served out of syringes.
That sounds insane.
Yeah, it does. Maybe that's a lie.
Yeah. Let's follow up on that.
Insane lie. Yeah.
I was going to bring up the syringes if she didn't. Well, we both know that's not true. So what did you actually need all those syringes for?
Why are you asking about the syringes? What's the issue?
I'm just trying to investigate the case. Anything can be a lead.
A thing for the party is not a lead. Look, are you going to find this man?
Of course. You wanted to help, right?
I do. So maybe you should ask questions about things that matter.
Oh yeah, it's shady as hell. Okay. Well, since I don't know why you're being targeted, may I look around?
No, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. I need to deal with my grief.
Something ain't right here.
What do? Do you leave?
Well, I'm not gonna slug a random woman. I mean, I could, actually. That'd be pretty funny. But I don't know if that's the right call here.
Detective, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Alright, it's time to put on the old classic of pretending to leave and then sticking around and trying to spy.
She's staring at you. Staring straight at you. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave my property, sir.
Of course.
I'm not going to ask again.
How would you intend to make me leave if you don't trust the police?
I'm done with this. She reaches down and pulls a gray metal tube off of her leg and points it at you.
Okay, dodging to cover.
I should note, you do have a gun.
I intend to use it.
Okay. She fires. A bolt of energy fires out of the metal tube, blasting a tree nearby, making a huge, burnt hole in it.
I shoot her.
All right, I'm going to need you to make a fighting roll.
Oh boy. I do have 2 dice for that.
Yes. An 8 or higher is an advance. A 4 to 7 is a hold. A 3 or less is a setback. You may take the extra problem called easily spooked if you would like. However, know that sometimes those problems end up being worse later on.
I don't think I'm going to take the extra problem.
Okay.
If I can get a hold out of this confrontation, I'll consider it a success in my head. Okay, so that's a 5. And that's a 5. I'm doing pretty well today.
Okay, your rolls are much better than other people's rolls. Okay. You shoot her dead. You shoot her right in the chest, and she's dead before she's able to fire again. Then she gets back up.
Fuck.
The wound in her chest seems to be sealing itself shut. However, your shot had thrown her back a bit, and as she reaches for her odd weapon now on the floor, you kick it away from her. You sock her in the jaw a couple of times, to no effect.
Naturally.
You are not able to hurt her. However, you are larger, and you rolled well enough that you are able to physically restrain her and tie her to a chair. And you also gain an edge. You've gained the edge more than one way to skin a cat. Ingenuity isn't about getting it right on the first try, it's about trying until you get it right. Because you shot her, you punched her, and on the third time, you figured out to tie her to a chair.
Hey, whatever works.
You gain an extra die on any general or manual test, or you gain an extra push that can be used for technical skills, which are the ones that have a little gear next to them. All right. What do you do?
Okay, so now let's actually have a conversation here, shall we? I know for a fact that there's probably nothing I can do to hurt you, but maybe I'll fuck around with this thing until I figure out a way to use it to hurt you, and I hold up her gun.
She is slumped down in her chair like a rag doll. Also, her gun, you are not going to be able to get your hand around it.
But she doesn't need to...
Yeah, she doesn't need to know that. You notice her hand is actually bizarrely shaped. It was sort of being covered up by a glove.
Huh.
But regardless, she's slumped over in her chair like a rag doll. She's not looking up. She's not doing anything.
Any response whatsoever?
None. She's like a puppet without strings. She's breathing. Her heart is beating.
I need to call on a friend. Do I know Madame Eva's phone number?
Yeah. You know the phone number of all the people.
Great.
That you have here.
I'd like to call her up, and I open with, "Hi, Eva, it's Dex, and I'm in some pretty crazy shit right now."
What do you mean, crazy shit?
I describe in some detail the approximate experience I just had fighting this woman.
Dex, I don't know what to say. That sounds like nothing I've ever heard of before.
Shit.
That doesn't sound... I know a little bit about magic and things like that. This does not sound like that. At least the spells that I know of. I'm sorry.
That's alright. And she's a contact, so I know she's being truthful, right?
She's being truthful. Yeah, your contacts don't lie to you.
Yeah. It's nice to
have
somebody
was casting it. Yeah. This just, at least according to her, this does not sound like, anybody casting spells. She says, this sounds like some sort of little gray men. This is nothing that I understand.
The thought had occurred to me. This sounds more like sci-fi than magic at this point.
Yes. Is the girl... Do you know what's happened to her? She had a traumatic shock? I'm sorry, I'm not a therapist. I don't know.
Well, all the thanks. All the same. I appreciate it.
Do you want me to look after her?
Huh. I might come back to you on that. Right now,
okay.
I'm gonna call somebody else and see if they can help.
Okay.
Because I do know a therapist.
Yeah, Dr. Jeff McIntosh.
I doubt that he will have any knowledge that will be helpful to me, but somewhere between medicine, psychology, and pharmacy, maybe I can glean something.
Yeah.
So, I call him up and briefly describe my experience and ask him, is there anything in the realm of shit you understand that can explain this?
I might be able to come over and do some tests, or if you could bring her to me, that might be even more helpful. She might be suffering from some sort of shock, though I don't Was she maybe wearing body armor or something? It maybe I don't really know, but I can examine her if you. I could either come to you or you could come to me.
I don't think it's safe transporting her, but I know I can keep her locked down here. Would it be alright if you came to me?
Sure. Dex, this is starting to sound like a kidnapping.
Well, she did try to kill me with a gun that, frankly, I don't understand, so I feel like I have reasonable...
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. This does sound like a fascinating case that I would like to examine. So, you're going to have to wait. It takes about 90 minutes before he arrives.
That's alright. That's...
Yeah.
Not a lot of my day.
You notice twice that Sarah looks up for a moment, surveys her surroundings, and then falls back down. She never says anything to you. Mac eventually arrives. He comes inside, and he looks at the charred tree outside, which is now kind of fallen down in front of the house.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, thankfully it's small enough that it wasn't going to damage anything, although some people are probably going to examine it at some point.
Naturally.
Mac runs a series of non-invasive tests, including getting a blood sample. Her blood has had its biochemistry radically altered. There are a bunch of unidentified compounds that he notices. If you could get her to a lab, maybe they'd be able to examine it further. He would need to... She doesn't seem to be responding to any of his basic treatments that he has, either medical or, speaking. I could take her back to my office. We could try to get her some help, but I don't know, Dex. I don't understand what the hell's going on here.
Neither do I.
It's like her whole bloodstream is full of these fungal spores.
No kidding. Would you say her blood has any similarity to the consistency of amniotic fluid?
No. It just appears to be like blood.
Oh, well.
Yeah. What an odd question.
It's been a very odd couple of days.
Yeah. Do you, search the house? Did you search the house while you were waiting for him? Or were you waiting for him and now searching the house? Yeah.
I searched the house while waiting for him, making sure to occasionally just come back and tighten up the ropes.
Gotcha, okay. You do notice that at least one point, she seemed like she was trying to get out.
Yeah, I don't trust any of this.
She has a basement, which is a little odd for Los Angeles, but she does have a basement. And she has a kitchen, are the two places you could look. Which one would you like to look at first?
Kitchen will probably be the quicker search. Let's start there and then move to the basement.
All right. She has an icebox in the kitchen. When you open it up, you see that it is nearly packed to the brim with human brains. I need you to make me a stability check.
Fucking course it is.
A 9 or higher is an advance, a 5 to an 8 is a hold, a setback is a 4 or less.
Let's shoot for that hold and see what I can get. Okay, that's a...
Would you like to use up your repression gets a bum rap to get a -1 on your roll? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't quite matter, because I just rolled and I got a 1 and a 2. So...
Okay, well, Okay, well, your repression is not going to be around anymore, but I think you might be getting a new problem.
Yeah, no, all right. Maybe.
This bloody tableau is going to feature in your nightmares for the next little while, until the next horrible thing comes along in this case. You've gained problem 33. It takes a toll. But yeah, human brains.
Great.
Yeah. Brains. Is this where you thought the case was going to go today?
I have no fucking idea where I thought the case was going to go today, but it probably was not this.
Okay. All right. So, this card says that the next time you gain a problem card from a stability challenge, you get a really nasty card. So this card itself is not going to do you anything bad, but the next bad card you get from a stability challenge is going to be really nasty.
Cosmic Malignity?
Yeah, that'll be the one you get after it takes a toll.
Oh,
so,
God.
be careful. Yeah, so brains. Also in the kitchen, I should note, there is a small box with 12 syringes in it that are sitting on the countertop. And there's a small piece of paper on it that says, Gary, take to Everett at the lodge. And then there's another piece of paper that's not attached to anything. It's just sitting. It seems like it might have been attached to a box, but it's not anymore. It says, for mother, Gary, do not take.
Huh.
Do you want to go down to the basement?
Oh, God, yeah, let's do this.
There's a travel trunk. Though, as you're looking around, you see that all of the things that were probably supposed to be in this trunk have been, old books, mementos, stuff like that, have been piled off to the side. Stuffed into the trunk is a fresh human corpse.
Of course.
Yeah, relatively fresh. The skull has been opened with the brain removed. Needle marks on his arm suggest he died from some sort of injected toxin. And, looking at his face and remembering the photos you saw up in the living room, this must be Sarah's husband.
It used to be, at least.
Yes. I would make you make another roll, but you already were dealing with bizarre brains, so it's kind of all combined into one thing there.
Yeah, we can wrap this into the brains thing. Yep.
Yes. As you go back to the living room where Mac is still, looking at Sarah, he says, I heard you make some sort of noise from the kitchen. Are you okay?
Bucket of brains.
I'm sorry, what?
There's a bucket of brains in the kitchen.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I choose to process this later.
What the fuck did you get into, Dex?
If I knew, I would tell you, man. If I knew, I would tell you.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. You horrible monsters from beyond. Our cast this week was, series regulars, me, Daniel Fernandez, who you could find at LOTRDan on Twitter, and Nathan, who does the podcast Kingdom Hearts: A Forgotten Era. Check them out. And that is about it for this week. We'll give you the exciting conclusion and figure out what's going on with all of those brains in 2 weeks. We're going to keep our uploads coming out on Wednesdays, so get used to it. As always, I want to remind you to check out the Daniel's Dread Tales Discord. I'm on there, Nathan's on there, it's a whole good time. You can find a link to it in our episode description or on Twitter at Dan's Dread Tales, all one word. I would also love if you would review the show on your podcast platform of choice and give us 5 stars. It really helps the show grow. And speaking of growing, I don't know, tell a friend. I think we do good stuff. Have more people listen to it. It'd be nice. Anyway, actually, instead of being nice, it would be terrifying. Because we're a horse show, Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you all again in 2 weeks. Have a terrifying day. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Wait, shit, Daniel did the outro already. This episode was edited by Daniel. Russell did the sound design. Art is by Trin at Tea Time Witch on Twitter. Theme is by Claire LW on SoundCloud. Additional music was from Pixabay. Martians on the Lawn by Jeff Harvey from PurplePlanet.com. The Unknown also by Jeff Harvey, and also Dark Bar by CyberCutie. I think that's everything.